Hello everybody, welcome to Wine World TV, the best wine show anywhere. I'm your host, Mark Fusco. Now before we get started, make sure you're smashing that like button and subscribing to the channel. Every like and subscription helps build the channel. You know, it's even better if you spread the word to your friends about, well, the best wine show anywhere. All right, it's time once again for my Thanksgiving special. This year I'm staying with American wines, but instead of one winery like I did last year, I'm using 3 different wineries. Now don't worry, I still have a Zinfandel in the mix. Why American again? Well, since it's really an American holiday, why not? And no, it's my show, I can do whatever the hell I want. Anyway, all the wines were purchased, so no free samples. 2 of the wines I purchased this year, the 3rd I purchased a few years ago. I don't remember when, and I didn't keep the receipt, but I was able to retrieve a retail price for it. All right, and we'll start with that wine first. So this is a winery I really don't know much about, Kramer Vineyards. They were founded by Trudy and Keith Kramer in 1984, but they actually started making wine at home in 1971, back in the early days of Oregon's modern wine industry. They purchased a property in Gaston, Oregon in 1983, then planted their first vines in 1984, Pinot Noir, Chardonnay, and Riesling. 1986 is when they first planted Pinot Gris, the grape in this wine. Then in 2001, they launched their Celebrate line of sparkling wines. This appears to be their entry into the sparkling wine category using what we call, quote, the tank method. This is the same method used to make Prosecco and many other sparkling wines around the world. It's still a second fermentation to naturally produce carbonation. You're just doing it in a stainless steel tank rather than in the bottle. All right, so in 2009, it looks like they launched their traditional method line of sparkling wines. Now these are wines where the second fermentation happens in the bottle, like how champagne is produced. In the 2000s, their daughters Kim and Rebecca officially joined the team. Kim on the winemaking team and Rebecca becoming the winery director. The winery is salmon safe and live certified. The winery uses organic fertilizers, cover crops, and compost to nurture the soil and maintain a healthy ecosystem. These certifications focus on the Pacific Northwest. Salmon Safe is primarily focused on agricultural water runoff, water quality protection, and enhancement of biodiversity. Live, or low input viticulture and enology, is specifically for vineyards. They focus on sustainable practices in the vineyard, which do allow certain EPA approved chemicals to be used in a limited fashion. All right, moving on to the second winery, we have Anne Amie. Yes, Anne Amie, not Anne Amie. Now, how do I know this? Well, I visited them in 2017, and the script says, no, 2019 I visited them. Beautiful property. I first tried to visit on a Saturday. Yeah, I know better than to visit a winery on a Saturday or a Sunday, but hear me out. I had an open day up in the Willamette Valley where there were a few wineries I wanted to visit but didn't have an appointment for, either for a tasting or an interview. So I mapped out 7 or 8 wineries to go visit, and Anne Amie was the first one because it opened early enough and was the closest to where I was staying. However, on that Saturday, they were closed for a wine club event. No! So I went back a few days later, and it was an amazing experience, especially since I was literally the only one there. I tried quite a few of the wines. It felt like I tried their entire line, but I only had pictures of, well, 11 wines. None of them are this wine, so I probably never had it. Also, looking at their site, they only have 6 wines listed now. I'm not sure why. Anyway, let's delve into some history. Sadly, the winery's website has really 0 information, so of course I had to do a little digging, and boy, did I find some stuff out. Okay, so, well, queso. I like queso. Sorry, and that was actually scripted. As I was saying, the winery started in 1979 under the name Chateau Benoit. The founders were Dr. Fred and Mary Benoit. What is it with doctors and wineries? All right, sorry. So they bought 62 acres near Carlton, Oregon, and decided to plant vineyards. They were an early proponent of Müller-Thurgau, and that is the proper pronunciation for that grape. Not a grape we associate with Oregon, honestly. They also built the winery there. Not only that, it looks like Fred also had his doctor's office there. I found a website that states that medical offices were also on the property. Not sure what kind of doctor Fred was, but he was a doctor, right? He had the offices there. Anyway, in 1999, they sold to Robert Pamplin Jr. And he's a fairly well-known businessman in Oregon. In 2004, he renamed the winery Anne Amie Vineyards after his two daughters. Fast forward to the beginning of this year, 2025, where there was a little flurry of news in January concerning Pamplin. Apparently, he used the property in some kind of illegal pension thing, among other properties he also owned. In late 2024, he admitted to this fraud and was ordered to sell multiple properties to pay back the pension fund. Links below for all this, just so you know. I'm covering myself. To be clear, this is news to me, and I don't want to be there. I don't want really any negativity really associated with the episode, but it's part of the story. Like everything else, there is a link. Well, I just said that link to the article that goes into more detail. Okay, so he was told to sell it, but to whom? I don't know for sure. I couldn't find any official sale listed. I also may not have done a proper search for it. Like I didn't go too deep trying to find out, but I can't tell if anyone really truly bought it. It's possible though, the director of winemaking, J.C. Sommers, purchased it. Now, right now, if you look on a map, the name of the business is J.C. Sommers Vintner. You may also see Columbia Empire Farms. It's usually Google Maps. That's another Pamplin-owned company that looks like it makes jams and jellies. Now, this may also be one of the other companies he had to sell. And that I did find out that people love those things. Anyway, JC's website says he's still the director of winemaking at Anne Amie. He was the director of winemaking, starting 3 or 4 years ago. I also really can't find much news or reviews for Anne Amie from this year. I'm not saying anything, but there may be a reason why the Anne Amie website really has no history on it. Now I'll say this, when I visited in 2019, I had an amazing time and the wines were fantastic and well, I expect nothing less, especially since this is kind of the grape variety the original winery was built on. Let's move on to the final wine, Trentadue Winery. And we moved from Oregon to California now. Now, it was founded in 1959. Evelyn and Leo Trentadue left their farm in Sunnyvale, today's Silicon Valley, for Sonoma, Alexander Valley specifically. There they purchased 208 acres of land. Basically, they are one of the OGs of the modern wine area, of modern wine in the area. I've seen the name and heard good things about them, but this is my first time trying any of their stuff. This part of California wasn't known for wine back then. Well, honestly, a lot of California, in the 1900s, wasn't really known for wine until a little bit later. But it was still farmland. You would find apples, prunes, and pears, much more than wine grapes. And from what I can tell, it's still family owned, like the Trentadue family still owns it. They have second and third generation or whatever. They also say that there are some vines on the property that date back to 1886. So there were grapes being grown there for a long time. Now, prior to them buying the land, it was listed as a nursery. Now, they talk about using sustainable practices in their vineyard. However, this wine doesn't have any kind of certifications. That's fine. Not every vineyard and winery that practices sustainability or organics or anything else gets a certification. The Storia line of wines is their line that's available outside the tasting room. Basically, these are the wines that you'll most likely find at retail or in a restaurant rather than their estate wines. I'm not saying that you'll never find the estate wines in the off-premise or on-premise world, just that the page for La Storia implies that these are the ones that you will probably find out in the wild. All right, let's get the stats for these wines. The 2015 Kramer Vineyards Celebrate Pinot Gris, around $31.95 retail. From Oregon, Willamette Valley, Yamhill Carlton AVA. 100% Pinot Gris, live certified grapes, tank method, ABV 11.5%, production 195 cases, released February 2017. At the time, from the information I had, the suggested retail price was $26. Next is the 2023 Anne Amie Müller-Thurgau. I paid $19.99 for it. Again, from Oregon, Willamette Valley, Yamhill, Carlton, AVA. 100% Müller-Thurgau. The ABV is 12%. The pH is 3.05. This is from a 2022 tech sheet I found. The TA is 7.6 grams per liter. I put percent in the script. From 2022 tech sheet, the production is 1,195 cases. From that 2022 tech sheet, I found a 2024 tech sheet that says 800 cases of production, but I didn't have any of the other numbers. And finally, we have the 2022 Trentadue La Storia Zinfandel. I paid $24.95. From California, Sonoma County, Alexander Valley, AVA. It's a blend of 83% Zinfandel, 9% Petite Syrah, they spelt it this way, just so you know, 5% Syrah, 2% Carignan, also their spelling on their tech sheet, and 1% Merlot. Aged for 19 months in 16.5% New American and French oak. It's very precise. The ABV is 14.7%. The RS, they use percentages, I hate that. 0.25%, that comes out to 2.5 grams per liter. The pH is 3.59, and the TA, another thing I hate when wineries uses, 0.059 grams per 100 milliliters. In other words, 5.9 grams per liter. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to glean any further information about the Kramer wine as I couldn't find a tech sheet. Like I said, I found some information about it, but I couldn't find a tech sheet from them. I'll say that it doesn't appear that they make this with Pinot Gris every year. As far as a tech sheet for Anne Amie, I already kind of mentioned this. I couldn't find one for the 2023, but since I had the 2022, 2024, we can get a kind of an idea about some of those nerdy stats. All right, let's get into the wine. All right, so I'm excited about this because I don't know what this is going to be like. I bought this maybe 3-4 years ago, and I just kind of holding on to it because I'm like, well, it's a vintage, Oregon sparkling wine. So who knows what this is going to be like. I hope it's going to be good. I hope it's not, past its prime. We're talking 10 years old now, and we'll see. Make sure I get the little soft kiss if I can. Ooh, here it comes. Ta-da. There was a lot of pressure, but I kind of expected a little more pop. Anyway. So I don't know if I've already mentioned, I can smell it. I don't know if I already mentioned, but you might see my little, whoop. If I do this, it's hidden. I can't remember if I had already done a video on the set with my new toy, but anyway, I got this new wireless mic system, and I'm super excited because it records on the little mic. Now I do have I think I've already talked about it, have a controller that can control 2 mics. I knew this was gonna pop on me. And I actually bought 2 sets because I knew I was gonna need 3 total mics for that Garrison Brothers interview from 2 weeks ago. Did you watch it? You should, because it was really fun, very informative. Actually, old family friend was in town, and he watched it, and he was really impressed with it, and I was thankful for that. I think he was truly impressed, not because, well, he knows me. He's known me for all my life. I've known him for all my life. All right. Here we go. I had this feeling that this was going to was going to run out of gas, because I do try to use this thing outside of just reviews. Are you excited about Thanksgiving? I am. Now we're actually going to go to a restaurant. We kind of always go to the same restaurant every year, Thanksgiving. Italian restaurant, of course. I interviewed the owner many years ago. Since I'm mentioning it, hopefully I'll put a little link in the description below. And you can see that interview with him and my good friend Jeremy. So Joe owns it, and then Jeremy was the person who introduced me to Joe. And Jeremy's a badass blogger. I'll link to his blog too. Italian specialist, and super knowledgeable about Italian language and also culture and wine. I've gone to several of his classes around the state. So, good friend of mine. Joe is too. Joe takes great care of us every time we're there. All right, cool. So let's try these wines. Oop. Mucilage, or the wire cage. Oh, don't ask me what the cap is. I forgot what the cap is called. I'll put a little thing below so you can find out what it is. Okay, smells good. A little oxidation, a little oxidative, but not terribly bad. Not a whole lot of bubbles, which is fine. You know, when you start getting 10 plus years, especially with this type of carbonation, you know, where it's tank method, the bubbles, and I know these types of glasses don't really show the bubbles very well, but when you have like wines, sparkling wines, really more like champagnes or champagne method, so cava, champagne, things like that, the bubbles tend to retain a little bit more even in these glasses. I mean, they're there as I swirl it around. So I get a lot of bruised fruit, like peach. That's what really popped out when I opened the bottle. It's like bruised peach, pear. Yeah, so it's oxidative. So let's see how it tastes. It tastes fine. So it's got that oxidized pear, peach, golden apple, yellow apple. It's still crisp. So it got that great acidity going on there. It's not fresh. Like I said, it's kind of that oxidative thing. This needed to be opened. I don't think this could be like held on for another 5 more years or whatever. It needed to be opened now or within the next, year or whatever. Probably should have been opened 2 or 3 years ago when I bought it. It would be fresher, but I do like when things are a little oxidized. Yeah, get the golden apple, get some kind of flower, get some floral from this. And again, we're talking, because it's oxidative, it's more about that desiccated, dead flowers. And these are, when you use these kind of negative words, it makes it sound like the wine is bad, but it's not. This is just what wine does. But yeah, it has kind of like that sweet smell, a sweet floral smell. And again, I hate to bring up death, but when you get to a certain point, there is a sweetness with that associated with that smell. Caramelization, like a caramel golden apple, is really kind of opening up now. And I took it out of the fridge. I mean, it sat in the fridge for over 24 hours. And I took it out maybe 30 minutes ago, so it's warming up a little bit. Mousse is pretty good. It's lost some of the carbonation, but mousse is pretty good. I like it a lot, actually. I'm going to have to enjoy this week. I don't know with what, but I'm going to enjoy it. All right, the Müller-Thurgau. Super excited for this. So I don't drink enough Müller-Thurgau. I don't know enough about Müller-Thurgau to really be like, well, this is a classic example of it, like for whatever the aromas are or the flavors. I don't know what they are because I didn't look them up before I started doing this. So with that said, there's a bit of floral to it, white flowers. These are fresh in nature. More of a stone fruit, so peach. A little plum, like a white plum. Does that exist, a white plum? Yellow plum. Mirabelle, is it called Mirabelles, right? But peach apricot. That's the other one I'm looking for. Apricot. You know what's really weird? The pomegranate seeds just came to mind as I'm smelling this. I don't know if it's in there or not, but there's also a little bit of red apple. A little minerality there. Apparently salinity or salt is the new minerality, I found out earlier earlier this week. I don't get salinity per se, but I get a kind of a wet rock thing going on. Let's try it. Wow. All kinds of things go on. First of all, the acidity, that brightness, that sharpness is there. My mouth is so watering. I mean, it was pretty high in the acidity, if I remember correctly. It's got the golden apple. It's got red apple too, but more golden apple now. Green apple too. Still has that peach, apricot, little nectarine. I don't know if I get necessarily pomegranate seeds on the palate. Really fresh white flowers. There's a bit of like, it's not sweet, but a bit of like those orange like candies, and a little bit of that like green apple like Jolly Rancher thing. But like, you know, those orange candies they're soft and they have like that sugar on the outside, but it has a little bit of a tartness to it. It's more like the tart version of that, right? The tart flavor rather than a sweet flavor. And then the Jolly Rancher, the green apple Jolly Rancher, again on the more tart side, not a sweet side. So it's the tart of the sweet tart. Delicious. All right, we're gonna hit the Zin, and we're gonna kind of talk about what you're gonna pair with these wines. Oh wow, yeah, Zinfandel. I've talked this many times. Zinfandel was the wine that really got me into wine. I had wines over the years and didn't really care for them, and they never were a thing for me until one day I'm at this bar, of all places in Chicago, and somebody handed me some Zinfandel, all excited because it was red Zin. I'm like, yeah, whatever. And showed me the bottle, and it was Ravenswood. And it was the first time I had a wine that I liked and I had with food. I thought, wow, it actually does something. And I had no idea about wine. It was way before I had decided I was going to study wine. All right, so lots of fruits going on here, like the red, the black, the blue. And it has Zinfandel, a lot of times, classic Zinfandel should have a bit of like sweet tart thing going on. So ripe and underripe at the same time, because the bunches tend to not ripen evenly. So by harvest, sometimes you have some very, very ripe grapes. Sometimes you have some underripe grapes that might be even green looking, may not have gone through veraison, the changing of color. You may have some perfectly ripe grapes. So yeah, so blueberry, blackberry, raspberry, cranberry, more on the tart side with that. A little bit of plum, prune, date, fig, and it's wrapped in like kind of a milk chocolate, but maybe not so like milk, but like maybe a dark and a milk chocolate at the same time. Yeah, more darker on that. Cherry, Luxardo cherry. There is a bit of a boozy quality to it. I mean, it's 14.7. It's not super high, right? 14.7. But I mean, you know, it's an elevated. Oh, this is 15.1 on the bottle. I mean, I'll need to make sure that the stats are good. So yeah, 15. And it probably is 15.1. When I see that type of precision, instead of 14 or 14.5 or whatever, when they go the 0.1 and the 0.2 and all that, that's usually exactly what it is. Yeah. It's very fruit forward, but there's also a touch of fresh earth, fresh tilled earth, potting soil, if you will. Like you just put your hand into it. Yeah, a little bit of forest floor, but still everything's fresh and, you know, not dried out. Smells great. Let's try it. This thing is stellar. I didn't put my, hold on. This thing is all stained, so I'll put it away. I want to look at color-wise. I know I don't have a picture. I don't have an overhead. So Zinfandel is a light-skinned grape. So this is a blend, so that's fine. So it may not be translucent. And Zinfandel doesn't necessarily need to be translucent like Pinot Noir. The Petit Syrah and the Syrah are definitely going to add some color to it, but there's still a bit of translucency here. Let's see. Yeah, I had 14.7 on the ABV. But there is a bit of translucency. It's not opaque. So when you get Zinfandel that's opaque, it most likely is not 100% Zin. It's probably a blend of some sort. And a lot of Zins are a blend. Not everything's 100%. A lot of wines are blends of at least 2 grapes. Certain wines like Riesling, well, in Alsace Riesling can be blended, but in a lot of other parts of the world, Riesling is usually by itself. Müller-Thurgau is usually by itself. Chardonnay, Pinot Noir, they're normally by themselves. Gamay is usually by themselves. But like Cab, Merlot, Syrah, what else? Those red wines, Grenache, Grenache, Syrah, Mourvedre, they're usually blends, especially red wine or with rosés. White wines can have blends, like you can have blends of Riesling and Gewürz and all that, but a lot of white wines are single variety, but you can have some blends. So yeah, it's got a little bit of a booziness to it. So you got, I've just used the description for it, Luxardo cherry, but with like a hint of vodka in it or rum, like a cherry bomb. But you've got that sweet tart thing going on. So you've got the blueberry, the blackberry, the raspberry, the cranberry, plum, date, fig, all those things are going on. The fresh earth that you take, like I say, take a handful and just put it in your nose or put it in your mouth. A little bit of green grass, not grassy, but like greenness, but not green like you get from Cabernet Sauvignon and Merlot and Cabernet Franc and stuff like that, where it's like more like pears in it green. It's just freshness, like fresh, yeah, just fresh greenery, like you're walking around like a lush forest. And there's a bit of vanilla going on here, a little bit of baking spices. It's not a huge amount. I don't remember how much, I don't remember if I mentioned any oak. Oh yeah, I did. 16.5% new French and American. So it's 19 months in the new oak, but it's not a lot of new oak. So it's really just like a little kiss, just enough to get you there. Delicious wine. My only negative, if there was a negative, it is a little hot. That 15.1 is showing a little bit, but with food, it's gonna kind of balance out. So food wise, so this is a very traditional Thanksgiving wine. Chardonnay, Pinot Noir, Riesling, those are usually the whites and reds that we suggest for your traditional Thanksgiving fare. This right here, yeah, it's got to be drank now. I got to drink this within a week. Because it's getting more oxygen now, it's really getting oxidative. But because of that, and that caramelization, that richness, okay, I would put something very savory with this. Something that has a lot of oomph and a lot of body. I mean, you can do salads with this, but you could almost throw in like a peach cobbler, as long as you didn't have a lot of sweetness with it, right? But you could do some peach with it, or like a peach salad, just like some peaches and some other fruits with it. With this to me is more like your traditional, like you just throw with salad. Or if you're gonna have like a chicken side of things, whatever like that, it'd be really great for that. Believe it or not, green bean casserole would be great with that. There's a bit of that type of greenness to it going on. We're gonna cut for a second. All right, I kept everything going. I probably cut everything out though. So kind of a full disclosure thing, for decades now, I occasionally get nosebleeds on this nostril for whatever reason, rarely over here, just randomly. And out of almost 700 videos, I think it's the first time it's ever happened on camera. Anyway, so back to this. So with Zinfandel, this is absolutely going to go with your turkey. It'll go with ham. It'll go with that cranberry sauce. It'll go with your stuffing, sweet potatoes for sure. For days, it'll go with that. But if you do something like say a roast beef, like a prime rib, or you do some type of stew, it can go with that too, because it's got enough oomph to go with that. It's fantastic. And while you don't want dry wines necessarily with desserts, the things like, pumpkin pie would be something that wouldn't be a terrible pairing, though I would probably avoid really making that my go-to pairing with, this with pumpkin pie. But because of the spices associated with that and this, it would work way better than either one of these. It's delicious. Cool. I'm really enjoying the tart side of the Zinfandel. Classic. All right, that's gonna do it for today's show. If you like if you enjoy what I'm doing here, make sure you hit the like button and subscribe and tell your friends. And we'll see you next time. Maybe with some other fun sparkling.